Hey everyone, Gabriel, thanks for having me on the show. I am Adam Moeller, and I'm in my 12th year of education, and I've done 4 years of special ed, and I'm in my seventh year of social studies, and I do eighth grade social studies at New Richmond Middle School, and I also do some instructional coaching and some presenting as well. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show to discuss what I think is quite possibly one of the more important topics that we can talk about right now, which is
Mhm.
EduProtocols. The first time I heard that term about a year and a half ago, maybe, and I didn't think too much into it, and I kept hearing that term come up more and more. The
Mhm.
whole playbook on EduProtocols. A couple people in our department picked up that book and were raving about it. And
Mhm.
then I started kind of going through this deep dive and went through that EduProtocol rabbit hole, man, as
And
most people will do after this show. So, yeah, I appreciate you, man. Before we get into that, though, we usually do food on the show, but this
okay.
time we're doing something a little bit different, man. So, tell us what you suggested for our breaking bread.
All right. So I am from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Cincinnati is a big beer city, and I live real close to several breweries, and so I suggested let's have a beer. And I'm a big IPA guy, and especially New England style, hazy style. And so I have myself a New England style IPA from High Grain Brewing, which is probably 10 minutes away from where I live. It's all locally sourced stuff, and beer is phenomenal.
What is the name of that brewing company again?
It's called High Grain Brewing.
High Grain Brewing. If you're listening, which you probably not, but if you are and you're interested in doing some promotion, let me know. Let me know. Well, as I told you pre-roll before the show even started, it is allergy season here in Texas, and we're in the thick of it, and we're all hocked up on allergy pills and that. So I thought, maybe allergy pills and alcohol, maybe not such a good mix during the week. So I mixed up an Arnold Palmer and got some iced tea and some lemonade here, and it looks like beer, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It doesn't
yeah.
have a head, but
It
isn't it?
it looks like a shandy almost, or
There you go. There you
there it
go.
is.
I tip my glass to you, sir. So thank you for being on the show. Let's have some good conversation.
Great.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do. You explained that you're social studies, but you're
Mhm.
also like a coach at the same time. How did that work out?
So it's a new role this year for me, and it's just kind of one period a day, and um, when I am not at school, and I'm sure like most teachers, I'm constantly thinking about school, and I'm constantly on Twitter and looking up new things and trying to think of new ideas, and especially with Edge of Protocols, I'm trying to think of what are some different ways I could run an Iron Chef for a cyber sandwich in my class just to mix it up for students. And so I just, on top of all that, I just love sharing stuff, and I love sharing ideas with others. And I love, one of my passions is engaging students in my classroom and using technology within my classroom. But at the same time, I want to use technology intentionally. I want to use it for a purpose, and I want to use it to transform education and transform learning within my classroom. And I want to just share that with others as much as possible. And so
That's
that's
great,
kind of,
man. That's really cool. And I really like the fact that you used learning rather than teaching because
mhm,
we need to start making that shift of teaching, 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 and
mhm.
stop focusing so much on the teaching piece, but let's start taking a look at the student learning. Is it happening?
Yes.
If not, then that drives our quote unquote teaching and making a difference in the way we teach. So we've mentioned the word edu protocols, and you mentioned a
Mhm,
couple of examples like that. I think the Iron Chef is the most popular one. But
mhm.
what's your 30-second elevator speech on edu protocols? Hey, Adam. Hey, man, I've heard you talk about edu protocols in the hallway or in the lounge the other day. What is
Mhm.
it, man? Give me the rundown.
Well, to me, they are lesson frameworks that stay the same week to week, and students are learning a process. And at the same time, it's a pedagogy, it's a style of teaching. It doesn't replace curriculum, it doesn't do any of that, but rather it's a process to teach students how to create, critically think, communicate, and collaborate together with their learning. And that's why um, I love it. That's why I've like just kind of getting these on, and I do need to mention though that John Carippo and Marlena Hebern are the creators of EduProtocols, and I'm just going to give a shout out to them because they are some of the like most awesome people on the entire planet. You have questions, you have needs of any kind with it, they are right there all the time for you. So,
That's have you had a chance to meet them in person?
oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 for sure.
That's
So,
cool.
well, actually, not in person, but just through Zooms and
Okay.
different things like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. So, Edge protocols, they are, like you said, they're that framework and you use them from week to week. The
Hmm.
protocol doesn't change, the content changes, right?
Correct, correct. Yep.
I picture Edge protocols. That's funny. No pun intended when I use the word picture. Ew, but I picture a frame. And
Hmm.
the frame is the same. It's what holds everything up. It's the backbone of why it's on the wall, why it stands out, and all that good stuff. And the only thing that you're doing is you're just replacing the picture within there from season to season or what have you, or in our case, from week to week. And
Correct.
it's not something that you have to do every single day, but and we'll get into that
Hmm.
in a little bit, but
Hmm.
just real quick, like why are edu protocols so important in education, or why do you use them so much with your teachers that you're coaching? Maybe you can maybe give us an example of a teacher that you're working with right now, and maybe working on one of those protocols.
It's in this world now when we're using more technology than ever, and we need to use technology to transform learning. Um, they're just I like them because number one, they're simple, and they're simple things you can do to make those little transformations within your classroom. So, for example, the the thin slide edge protocol is one of my favorites. It's just I like to. There's so many. One, there's so many different ways, so many different variations you can use a thin slide. But real quick, a thin slide is just a simple share a Google slide deck with your students. They each grab a slide, put their name on it, and they include one picture, one word. They have 3 minutes to design their slide with one picture, one word. Then you go around after 3 minutes and they introduce their slide, describe their slide in 10 seconds or less. I like to use it at the end of class. 3 minutes, go, what'd you learn today? And then boom, we hear from everybody in class. They explain what they learned. And that's like one of the simplest things you could ever do. And right away, you have students using some metacognition at the end of class, thinking about their learning. You have them sharing what they're learning with each other, hearing each other, and it's one of those things I love about it is that the simplicity of it, but yet the effectiveness of it, and then also at the same time, it gets students working together. It gets me free moving around the room and actually teaching and talking with students as they are doing the work. So,
And I've done that as well, both as a coach slash teacher, and I've participated in professional development with
mhm.
our department in that edu protocol with the thin slide, and very powerful.
Yes.
One word and one picture or a
Hmm.
GIF or
Yeah.
something, some sort of media. And you throw that slide deck on there.
Hmm.
First thing students got to do is they've got to claim a slide.
Yep.
That's half the battle. Once
Yep.
they put their slide, they put their name on it, boom, they start going. They grab their slide, they put their name on it. And like you said, they put that one piece of media, that one word that they walked away with, or that reflection piece. And then the magic happens when they
Hmm.
share, right? They get that
Yep.
communication going.
Yep. And I'll tell you that like I get this all a lot from some colleagues and other people like because I work in a middle school. We know how middle schoolers are. And they're like, how do you keep kids from messing with each other's slides? They're going to mess with them. I'm like, well, you just teach them from the get go. And quite honestly, it's not really a problem for me if you teach them some like digital citizenship and how to just properly conduct themselves when working and collaborating with others. And so it allows for those opportunities as well
Yeah.
to teach those things.
Exactly, and teach those things beforehand, and then as they come up. And one of the
Hmm.
most powerful things that we can do as educators, when you get those couple students that are scrolling around, you show the other kids to ignore it. You
Yep.
know, once the audience no longer pays attention to it, and that vanity is kind of run its course, they'll eventually stop and they'll get
Yep.
to the point. So
Exactly.
I think we could do a quick cheers to the thin slide right now, sir.
Yes,
All
for
right, let's
sure.
IPA.
Yeah.
IPA. That I'm sorry, I can't do IPAs, man.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, all
I
right.
I had some IPAs back in my day, and I just number one, they filled me up.
Hmm.
I felt my mouth get really dry after because the bitterness
Hmm.
activated my salivary glands, and I
Yeah.
found myself swallowing a lot. And before I knew it, I was sucking down gallons of water because I couldn't handle it.
Well,
But you either love them or hate them, right?
oh, that's right. What's your go-to?
My go-to is I'm a Dos Equis kind of guy.
Okay. All right.
Dos Equis kind of guy, a
Yeah.
good lager, and
Hmm.
it's got to be ice cold. You pair that with some good tacos or something. It's a
Hmm.
wrap. It's a
Now,
wrap.
now, what about an India Pale Lager, an IPL?
I've never even heard of that, sir.
Yeah, Leinenkugels. If they have Leinenkugels where you are, it's up in Wisconsin, but they distribute all over. They make an IPL where
I've
they.
never even heard of an IPL. That sounds like a subcomponent of an IEP or a 504. Did you look at the IPL on that kid?
Okay.
No, I did not.
Oh man.
Wow,
Good.
wow. All right. So, yeah, well, I tip my hat to you, man. Those IPAs, they filled me up like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we talk about maybe the Iron Chef. So for some of you who've maybe used the thin slide, done it, but maybe didn't realize that that was a part of that was a component of an Edu protocol.
Mhm.
I mean, all you're doing, just like with students, we're just now attaching terms,
Mhm.
vocabulary to that.
Mhm.
The so you guys listening out there, you've probably done some of this stuff. You just didn't know that the term edu protocol was attached to it.
Mhm.
So you learn something new every day. So there's a handful of them. What are some other examples that you could share? Maybe some stuff that you're doing currently with some of the teachers you're coaching.
So I'll say this. I know you wanted me to mention the Iron Chef, but that's one that I actually don't use that one quite a whole lot in my class.
More of a cyber
So
sandwich kind of guy.
I do go cyber sandwich, and so I here's what I like about the cyber sandwich, and this is what I like about any of these edge protocols. And I mention this to people a lot. We get wrapped up in this idea that we need to use tech all the time. However, what's great about these is you can switch back and forth between paper and technology. And so I'll share a story about the very first cyber sandwich I did this year. I did it on paper. I told the kids, I said, we're going to kick it old school today. And I gave them an article on paper. And then the cyber sandwich itself, for those that are unfamiliar, I try to keep it simple. I do what I call a 10-10-10. So 10-minute read and note take, a 10-minute discussion, and a 10-minute summary. And so you can either share a Google slide deck set up, and there are templates on eduprotocols.com, or you can find templates all over Twitter. And there's so many great ones out there that people have created. And so basically, what I did is I gave the students an article on paper, and then I gave them a two-sided copy, one where they could take notes and read, and they read an article on motivations for exploration of North America, and I told them get two important facts from each subheading, and they had 10 minutes to read, and to take notes. And I truly feel like sometimes teaching kids a text structure, teaching them subheadings and how a text is written, and especially putting it on paper, they really truly get more out of that. And it forces them to go back and reread a little bit more. And I think they interact with the text a lot more on paper. And so I noticed that as they were doing this. And then 10-minute discussion. They flip over the paper, they discuss with a partner, write down some things their partner said, their partner writes down things that they said, and then they compare notes. It's kind of like a Venn diagram, but we don't say Venn diagram because that tends to prompt facial expressions from middle schoolers. So we just call it a discussion or a talk. And then finally, they summarize. And I tell them 5 or more sentences. Summarize what you learn, and boom, that's the cyber sandwich right there. It's a simple 10, 10, 10. And what's great about it is along the way, you do this once a week. Well, eventually, we know how students are. They may get bored. So then you can mix it up. So instead of just telling them to get 6 important facts, you can use different note taking strategies. You can have them make text to text connections or text to self connections or text to world connections for their note taking portion. Instead of a summary at the end, you could have them create a like a diagram or an icon board from the Ditch That textbook and Matt Miller, the icon board thing. Just anything, just to get them to show what they've learned and taken away. And that's what I love about EduProtocols as well is sometimes we get caught up in this idea that we have to do something a certain way because it's written in a book. Well, I see it as a think outside the box, and I'm going to do it how it's written in the book, but I'm going to mix it up along the way. I'm going to put my own special spin on it, and I think that's really important with working with anything or any idea that you see. So,
Yeah, and what I like about that example that you gave is, you started it off with no tech,
hmm
and I think that, teachers and anyone out there wanting to try this, they have a little bit more buy-in when there's no tech involved, especially when they're not quote unquote tech savvy.
hmm
And I really my goal for the 2021-2022 school year is to make that term obsolete. I really despise the term tech savvy. Uh,
hmm
I can write a whole book on it.
hmm
No pun intended. I'm actually writing a book as well. Um, Not on edgy protocols or tech savvy, but 99% of what we do, 95%, I should say, of what we do on a computer is following directions. The other five is techie.
hmm Yep.
So right clicking is techie.
hmm
Following instructions on a screen is following instructions. That's not tech savvy. Clicking login with Google is not being tech savvy,
hmm
but we're here to talk about edge protocols. I'm not going to get off on a tangent. But the point that I was bringing up is in our district, because of the whole pandemic and because of the loaning of devices to students, we got them back at the end of the school year, back in at the end of May, beginning of June, and we were getting them back all summer. And we're now at a point where our IT department, a big shout out to them and everything that they do, they're literally having to fix thousands, and I mean thousands of devices. They have to look at them. They have to, determine if it's fixable or if it's cheaper to buy another device or what have you. We've got iPads that are running like 7 point something
hmm
that can't even run software. Nevertheless, with the all the security features that are being needed on them now.
hmm
So we're to the point where we're just getting an idea of how many devices each campus is going to have.
hmm
And one of our big struggles right now is we can't rely as an instructional technology coach. I cannot, at my two campuses, I cannot assume that I'm going to have every student is going to have a device when I'm going to be working with a teacher.
hmm
And we can't assume that all students are going to have their own device. Nevertheless, a device that works with whatever app, whatever program, or whatever tool that we're going to be using. And if it does work and they do have a device, we can't assume that the students are going to want to put it on the network, because I can tell you right now, at one of my campuses, there's an entire floor and a half that has zero cell phone signal. I don't care what carrier
Hmm.
you have, you're not getting a signal. So maybe some low tech and no tech stuff, maybe thinking outside the box with some of these edge protocols. Maybe that's something that we have to start doing, at least in our district, because that's the boat that we're on right now.
Hmm.
Analyzing the devices and seeing how much we have, and we are going to have devices, but the goal is to get as many devices in the classrooms as possible. But until then, not have to worry about tech, because
Hmm.
and on the other side of that coin, just because a student's on a device does not mean they're doing something relevant, or does not mean true integration.
Hmm.
Doing um accelerated reader or accelerated reading or math or any one of those anecdotal programs, that's not creation. That doesn't foster the 4 C's. So
Hmm.
I'm glad that you brought up that example.
Yeah. I You know what? Let me talk about the Iron Chef actually, because I just thought of this.
Well, before
Sorry.
we do that, let's do I guess we could
Oh,
do a cheers to the old cyber sandwich.
all
Can't
right.
go wrong with a cyber sandwich. Or
Correct.
or a real sandwich at that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Ah.
Man, I can really go for those Eckies right now, man.
With a little lime in there. Do you go lime?
Yeah, I usually do lime, and I can't do the cans. It's gotta be a bottle. It's gotta be a
Okay.
ice cold bottle.
Yeah.
Once you squeeze that lime in there, then you gotta, like, take a chopstick and jam the lime all the way in there and just let it percolate. Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So so this Iron Chef. All right. So the Iron Chef is basically a jigsaw format, and so it works best when you have. I find that it works best in social studies when you have these kind of disconnected lessons that like for example you're learning about a civilization, you want to learn about, there's one section on politics and one on geography and one on economics, so it's kind of in a way disconnected with different topics, and so the Iron Chef works best with those types of things in my opinion, but it works with anything really, but basically you can share a slide deck. I always link a section or uh, a text or something to it, and I have the students try to put down the five main ideas or five facts, or you can set it up any way that you want. So you could even scaffold it and put questions on there if you want to. Um, the students include a picture, and then your secret ingredient question on each slide is going to be some question that the students will have to look up, or maybe they have to research something, or maybe it's something funny just to pique their interest. Maybe it's something that can relate to them in some way. But either way, that's really what it is. You link your text, give students prompts or things to include on the slide, a picture, secret ingredient, and they get 20 minutes to build their slide. And then they kind of come together, look at each other's work, and then they present. They present their slides, and they can do it through Flipgrid. They can do it through, um, um, oh my goodness, Screencastify, or they could just present right from their desk or up in front of the room. But the other day, I had someone ask me. They said it's the exact same scenario that you just said, Gabriel, where their students aren't one to one, but she wanted to do an Iron Chef, and I just and right off the top of my head, like I said earlier, I'm this idea guy, and it's like I gave her this idea. I go, well, you don't need technology for this. Why don't you give them their text or the section they need to read? And why not have them sketch note? And their sketch note could be be their act as their slide, a sketch note on paper, and then boom, tape them up around the room, do a gallery walk, and that's your Iron Chef. They could stand there next to it, present it, and then go around, take some notes. I said you could even pair it up if they're going around taking notes. Get a Frayer model out, which is another. Frayer is a classic, like a classic box in the middle. You can write your topic in the middle, and there's four other boxes around it. Frayer is one of those things that we all know about. We just don't know that we know it.
Yeah.
And so I said, go around, do a gallery walk, and they have a frayer in front of them, and they need to write down 4 things they learned from each person's
Slide. Mhm.
sketch note or slide, if you will, taped to the wall. So, um, and so again, that's another idea of how you don't need tech, but yet you can do the Iron Chef that way, and how it turns into a jigsaw still, or keep it as a jigsaw. So,
And what a great way to get the kids up and out of their seats, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I did
Get
something similar, at the middle school. I wanna say, gosh, I can't believe it's already been like 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I was working with the newcomer program, the teacher
Mhm,
at the middle school who teaches the newcomers, and we have a, church around the middle school that takes in refugees from other
mhm,
countries, and,
mhm,
they come in and they end up at that middle school or the
mhm,
neighboring elementaries or the high school that they funnel into, and did this great lesson where we did some sort of writing project, writing prompt that the students worked on for a long time,
mhm,
about 6 weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, which then turned into some sort of recording. And it was audio only, not video. And
mhm.
I helped the teacher do some recordings and we posted stuff, and then we basically did a gallery walk in the evenings, and the parents walked around and they heard through the use of, remember Erasma?
No.
Erasma, HP Reveal, the augmented reality. We used augmented reality. We walked around the room with the
Mhm,
parents had an iPad, and they heard their child read a text that they had been working on for quite some time that was personal to them
mhm.
in English. So they, it came
Wow.
to life, and it was
Yeah.
real and it was personal. And I think the beauty of that was that the student, when we were doing this in class, before we set it up for the parents in the evening, the students walked around and learned about each other.
Mhm,
And same idea with the Frayer model. They had that piece of paper and they wrote down 1 or 2 facts that they learned about their neighbor and the experience that they wrote about.
mhm,
And once again, at that time, I had no idea that this kind of mimicked the Iron Chef protocol,
mhm,
but I did not necessarily learn something new. I just attached a vocabulary term to something that I had been doing with that particular teacher at
mhm.
that time. And you can literally do this for any subject. I mean,
Yeah.
I can think of math off the top of my head, math and science and the arts, anything. So that's
Mhm.
the beauty of these edge protocols. It's basically a frame,
Yep.
like I mentioned, and you're just replacing that picture in there with something else.
Yep.
Is that one of your go-to ones there? Or you
No, no, actually, my go look at me, and now I'm like, I'm going off here now. So my my go-to edge of protocol is the sketch and tell.
okay.
And so the sketch and tell is I share a slide deck, and I link in an article, video, some type of source, and I'll pair up a question with it. And so I'll use one just right off the top of my head. What is popular sovereignty? That's, I teach Constitution to eighth grade. Basic question: what's popular sovereignty? That's an important concept they need to know. And so I pair it up either a quick reading or a video with it. I've mixed it up year to year. And so the sketch and tell is great because they create this abstract image of this concept of popular sovereignty. So based on what they've learned, they create an image, and then they use well, then they tell about it. So you could pair up and have the students explain their images to each other, and then they tell or write about what popular sovereignty is. Or you could just have them go create their image and then boom, jump right into the tell part. 3 or 4 sentences. Tell me what popular sovereignty is. But here's the again the beauty of sketch and tell and edge of protocols. So I saw this and I thought to myself, you know, one of the big no-nos with sketch and tell is you cannot search for Google images and import them onto the slide. You have to create your image, your learning, either with Google Shapes or the line. So it creates nice opportunities to teach students about Google Shapes and how to duplicate image shapes and copy shapes and use different colors. But here's the thing with this. I saw this and I'm like, why do we just have to use Google Shapes? And so why not get the Play-Doh out?
Oh,
You know, why not get Legos out? And for the popular sovereignty idea, I said, why can't we use food? And I got gummy bears out. And I said, show me popular sovereignty with gummy bears. I've done it one year. I said, show me popular sovereignty or show me federalism with Oreos. You have to use an Oreo in your image. How can you show these concepts and then tell about it? And so I've really taken this sketch and tell to these different levels with Play-Doh, the Legos, Oreos, gummy bears, anything. And it just makes social studies hands-on and engaging for all students. So
man. I need to start drinking IPA, man. You got some ideas on you over there. I love that. So I think we can do a quick cheers to both the cyber sandwich, the sketch and tell, and the Iron Chef as well, man.
so do you think the I stands for idea, pale
Oh,
ale?
oh
How
man.
about that?
I love it. I love it, man. You can write your own book on that. Let's do this. Wow. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening, you're starting to take stuff in. Maybe you're on a walk, maybe you're jogging, maybe you're driving to work, maybe you are walking the track while your son or daughter's out there practicing whatever sport they're in. Maybe you're on the treadmill, who knows? But you're starting to think of ideas. You're starting to think, okay, I can do this. I can do this in my class. I could do this maybe once a week. So that's the goal of this episode, is to get you thinking about those EduProtocols. Maybe do some research online. Maybe pick up the book and start kind of putting these into practice in your classroom. Now, you said that you do like to help people, Adam, and connect with them
Mhm.
and all that. So, how can
Yeah.
people find you and connect with you on social media?
All right. So real quick, let me play off what you just said. So if you want to start with Edge Protocols, just start with one. Start with one and then do something like kind of goofy, silly just to get them used to the process. Use it as a way to teach students how to use Google Shapes or use Google Slides or whatever. But just start with one, do it once a week, and then slowly add in a second, and slowly add in a third. And then before you know it, you're doing like 3 or 4 Edge protocols a week, and you are making planning easier on yourself. You're making teaching and learning easier on yourself, and your classroom will just run run more efficiently when students know what they're doing. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and it just start small, start simple, and then build from there. So
What an absolute gem you dropped on us. And for some people, it's their first week with students. So, man, what a great week to start thinking about and digesting this, no pun intended. So now you didn't even tell us, man. How
I,
can we connect with you on social media?
sorry. So I am on Twitter at Moeller3031, and I'm on Instagram at Moeller.Adam, I believe.
Yes,
So
and I will have all that information in the show notes. That way, if you guys want to connect with Adam, you can do it there. You don't have to pull out a sticky note. You don't got to, stop your jog or try to whip out your phone to take notes on your Google Keep or what have you as you're driving 70 down the highway, thinking about Edu protocols. It'll all be in the show notes. You can click and connect with Adam there. I do have one last question for you, sir, and I'm pretty sure you know what it is. Corn tortillas or flour tortillas, my friend?
you know, I'm going flour.
Flour, I can respect a good flour tortilla.
Mhm.
I can respect a good flour tortilla, man. What's your favorite filling within that flour tortilla?
Oh my goodness gracious! I love to make. I love taco night in our
Mm,
house. I'll throw this out there. I am a vegetarian, and so and I love to cook. And so I love to make rice, and I try to make the rice taste like Chipotle,
Oh, okay.
but I can never quite get it. But I do like my rice, and I like to make a pepper, corn, black bean mixture I throw in there. And I love to make my own guacamole with cilantro, onion. Now, I've tried this once, all right, and I thought this was phenomenal. I'm going to throw this out at you. We went to a strawberry farm, picked tons of strawberries. I'm like, I need to do something with these strawberries.
What am I supposed to do with all these strawberries, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I cut these things up just in little slivers, and I put them in guacamole.
Whoa.
And it was one of the most delicious things I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow. That is
I,
crazy. I've never heard I thought you were gonna say you put it in salsa.
no, 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 no. I saw a thing that said strawberries and guacamole go good together, and I tried it, and I had onion, a little salt, lime juice, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, threw some strawberries in there. It was one of the most delicious things I've ever had in my entire life.
Holy cow. Wow, okay, so the avocado is kind of like your EduProtocol, and you're just
Mhm.
you're just throwing stuff in there. That's right.
Correct.
I love it.
Correct.
I'm gonna have
Yes.
to give that a shot. I'm gonna have to give that a shot, man. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, we've come to that time. I follow you on Instagram. I love your Instagram because I love the dad jokes, the one-liners that you have out there. They definitely put a smile on my face. I repeat them to some of my colleagues that
Yeah.
time, and they give me that look like, "Boy, if you open your mouth one more time, I'm kicking you off this Zoom call or whatever." So I know you got dad jokes for days, but I want you to pick 5 right now, and you and I are gonna go back and forth
Love it.
dad jokes, man.
Love
So
it.
being that you are the guest, you go first, buddy. Hit me with one of
Okay.
your dad jokes.
So I just found this out today. All right. I just found out my principal is going to fire the employee with the worst posture. I have a hunch that it's going to be me.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, I got one for you. Stop looking for the perfect match. Use a lighter. All right, man. Let's go. Number 2.
My wife just told me today that she does not understand human cloning. And I went, well, that makes two of us.
Oh man. All right, all right. Bro, I'm so good at sleeping. I can do it with my eyes closed.
A classic.
You can't go wrong with that one. All right, man.
Oh, so I mean, after my wife just mentioned the cloning thing, she goes, "Hey, can you go to the store and pick up 6 cans of Sprite?" And I said, "Yeah." And so when I got home, I realized that I picked 7 Up.
I just saw that one the other day on your Instagram story. Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Uh, all right. What's brown and sticky? A stick. Oh man.
Another classic.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
So if April showers bring Mayflowers, what do Mayflowers bring?
The Pilgrims.
There you go.
Ah, I knew it, man. I was waiting for that one. I love it. I love it. All right. I was gonna tell you a time traveling joke, but you didn't like it. Feel free to use that one whenever you want.
Alright, alright.
All right, man. Number 5. Let's do this. Close it with your big closer. Your big closer.
So I'll just play off of your joke. I had another one written down, but I'm just gonna play off of yours right now. I'm just kinda ad libbing here. So I have a DeLorean for sale. It's only been driven from time to time.
Hey. All right, and I'll end it with my favorite dad joke. All right, what happened when Sally fell off of the swing? She broke both her arms. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Not Sally.
That's kind of dark to end the show.
Oh man. Oh, we had to end it. I had to end it on that one. I've been
But
holding it in for quite some time.
I'm laughing though, so I don't know. So that's good.
Could be the IPA, the IPL, and the IEP running through.
Yeah.
So, well, Adam, I appreciate you being on the show, for being such a good sport, sharing your EduProtocol ideas and everything that you're doing. I tip my hat. Actually, I tip my drink to you and everything that you contribute to this educational space, and everything you do, man. So thank you very much for being on the show.
All right, thanks for having me, Gabriel. Really appreciate it.